Good morning, Andrew.
Morning, Trish.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? You can hear and see me okay?
Yeah, I can hear and see you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's perfect. That's perfect. Just move on the volume a bit. Um, Tell me, you started work today, yeah? Are you able to get in, or how do you feel?
Well, I haven't actually started yet. Uh,
You haven't started. Okay.
I talked to my GP and
Yeah.
he kind of thought that it could be a bit too early, but when he said like
Yeah.
it was ultimately like up to me if I wanted to go back or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he said like he gave me like a 6 cert for another week, and he said that
Yeah.
uh, I could talk to them like about going back like for 3 days a week. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you feel about that? What way is that with you now?
well, yeah, I was thinking it could be a good idea like for now on.
Yeah.
Uh, let's say like because this week I actually have like my blood test appointment tomorrow, and when I got an appointment with a psychiatrist on Thursday, so it could be quite kind
Okay.
of
So
difficult to
yeah,
facilitate all of
to
that.
be working anyway. Okay. Okay. And I know sometimes it's hard to make the decision to go into work, but it's almost harder to stay out. You know
Yes.
that can cause kind of an internal conflict, can't it? It's like I know I need to go back and I should be back, but I don't feel like going back. But then you'll go back to that I should be doing. Um, so it is important, Andrew, not to like we can blame ourselves an awful lot. Think, oh, for heaven's sakes, I should be back there.
Yeah.
Shouldn't exist. So go easy on yourself. As I said before, if it was a broken leg or, you'd put your back out or something, you wouldn't twice about going, no, I can't stand it. My leg won't hold me up. So we have to do the same for our mental health as well. And
Yeah,
take it.
it's just like I have this feeling that like I kind of uh, feel like I've never been good enough to do like this work.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's quite normal.
so
It is very normal. And that's the automatic place that our thoughts usually go when, everybody works and we all know we need a job. So therefore I should be able to do it. But as I said, just because it's our head that isn't well, doesn't mean that we shouldn't afford it the same respect, the same consideration, the same, compassion that we would if we had a broken leg. If you broke two legs, God forbid, but if you had been out, and say we'll talk about somebody else hypothetically, so I don't jinx you. But and they break both a year off work would you look at them and go, you should be back in work a long time ago? You wouldn't. So we need to see our mental health the same way. That it's asking you, it's telling you it's not well. So therefore, you do what you need to make it better. And if that's not going to work, then be it. So be it. I know the only thing with you, you're self-employed, so
yeah,
you're
so
contracted. Yeah,
it's very
yeah,
difficult.
yeah. It is. I get that. I'm in the same situation myself, but there's always ways of surviving and ways around that.
Well,
And
yeah, I
I,
guess
yeah,
I don't know if I applied like for like that supplementary welfare allowance, I probably wouldn't get it another time.
mm, yeah. I'm not sure. It depends, I suppose, on do they go on your last year's earnings or do they go on the earnings of now, the present?
Well, they just calculated like the last 12 weeks before I went sick.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And tell me, Andrew, what does the fact that you're contracting and you're still employed, does that prevent you? Well, you're not actually employed because you're self-employed, but does that prevent you getting dole? What's the dole called? The back to work allowance. Does it? The fact that you're a contractor, can you not apply for any um any social service money at all?
I don't really know. I was told I was only kind of eligible for that supplementary welfare allowance.
Okay,
So
okay. So before things financially get, if you're off any more than the week, or even now, if you think that maybe pay a visit to the Citizens Advice, and ask them what your options are at the moment. That you're out of work, you don't have an income. I'm assuming they don't
no,
pay you a flat fee or anything. Um, and how are you fixed? You know, you would normally, I'm assuming, pay tax in Ireland as, you
yeah,
know, as a self-employed person. Yeah, and I think they changed the rules a long time ago, regarding people who are self-employed. I mean, a long time ago it was that you got nothing. There was no help for you at all. But now I do think there is something. So you're potentially you're sort of unemployed at the moment.
yeah, but yeah, I'm kind of not working, but that contract is kind of still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. Okay. And is it the fact that there is a contract that makes the difference when you're getting any kind of social welfare payments? Yeah.
I guess I'm not really
Yeah.
entirely sure about that. Uh,
Okay. It might be worth paying a visit or asking social welfare on the phone. I imagine you'll be waiting forever. Citizens Advice I'm sure there's a local. Is there a local office in
yeah,
Carlow?
I've actually been there like a few times.
Okay. So they might be able to point you in the right direction. Just to ease the pressure of the finances, because that's something that can force you back into work before you're actually ready. So force you up on your two broken legs when they're not ready to sustain you yet.
Actually, like my last gas bill was like almost 800 euro. That was crazy.
Okay. Um, and you contacted MABS at some point or another, yes?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And did they just, because you were employed, what was their reply that they just there to advise, is it?
Um, well, at that time, but we actually contacted like Port Cash and we credited my account for 200 euro. Well, it was like a few months
Okay.
ago when
Yeah.
I was just starting this job.
Okay. Well, there is nothing stopping you going back to them. I've had clients that have gone back to them 3, 4 more times, because they just have difficulty getting back up on their feet, and particularly the energy crisis at the moment and the prices that the electricity and gas is. So for sure, I would pay them another visit and tell them truthfully that 800 euro is a lot.
Yeah, that
When
was
you
crazy.
don't have, yeah, when you don't have an income. So you're living on your savings, really.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
I cancelled that direct debit, but it still went through. So then I got
Who on board DOS?
yeah.
On board DOS, yeah. Ah, I see. I think isn't there it has to be before a good while before the direct debit is due when you can cancel it. There's some sort of a clause there.
Oh yes,
Yeah, you probably just
was too
missed it.
late.
I would go to MABS if they've taken 800 euro out of your bank and now you're looking at electricity or food bills or just general stuff. Definitely go to Citizens Advice and check in with MABS again, and be very honest with them, Andrew. Be about your mental health, because they're very private. They are a very private group. And they're not judgmental or anything. I've never had a bad experience with them. Always very supportive.
Hope so.
Yeah,
It just
very
feels
kind.
like like I'm making all this effort and then I won't get anything in return, and it would be just kind of pointless.
Yeah. I'm afraid if you don't ask, people don't hear. They don't, and you have to be very honest, and it's all about opening your heart to them and going, I can't. This is just not manageable for me. You need somebody to help you until you get back on your feet. And if you have to go again, you have to go again. You are not the only one. You're one of thousands that are calling to them now, for sure. And men and women that are in proper jobs, good jobs. and who never would have, gone on social welfare. It would have been almost against their way of thinking. Um, and they found themselves just down in their financial situation a little bit, and they've had to seek help. So there's no shame, there's no blame, there's no guilt about going to them. You're as entitled to this as any other Irish person, and you're as deserving. It's there for people who are just struggling, and you're struggling.
Yeah, thanks, Tash. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Maybe.
Yeah, give it a go for sure.
Actually, for electricity, it wasn't that bad because I still had that government credit, so I didn't have to pay.
Oh yes, of course. And I know, look, we're coming into the summer. Your heating bills and everything will reduce, but at the moment, in Ireland, you're still using heating, so.
Yeah, it's actually getting okay, like now, even without heating.
Okay. So you went back to the GP. You have a psychiatrist appointment.
Yeah, like this Thursday.
Okay. And how are you feeling about going to that?
Well, I'm kind of anxious, but I guess that's kind of normal. Because if I wasn't, I probably wouldn't be going. Yeah, I don't really know what to expect, to be honest. And if I would be able to kind of to explain to them what the story is. I don't know if I would expect like a lot of details or not. Probably not.
They may ask you a lot of questions, or they can give you an opportunity, or you can ask for the opportunity to speak, to tell them how your story looks. Sometimes I would recommend that you put things down on a list, make a bullet point list, so it'll trigger other things in your head as well. Because going into something like that, a consult like that can be, as you said, it's full of anxiety. And once anxiety comes in, we tend to, thoughts go out, we're just in the moment. And the last thing you want to do, having waited so long, is to walk out of his office or her office and then go, oh, I should have said this. So yeah, make yourself a list.
Yeah, good.
And that will help with you, even if you feel that you can't tell your story, or you don't feel confident enough to talk to them. And be very honest, Andrew. I know you will, for your own sake, because if you're not, then they don't get the full picture.
I guess so.
Yeah, they don't. So they can't. They can only work with what they have or what you give them. So like here, it's important that you tell me as much as you can. And eventually you tell me more, but then we can work on that picture. But if you only feed me a tiny little bit of information,
then it's not going to work.
So with them, it's the very same. If you're honest, and can you still hear me, Andrew?
Yeah, I just broke up for a second.
Oh, okay. So that's on Thursday. Okay, so I'll hear from you the next day. We can touch base on that and see what has happened. How did your birthday go?
It was very nice. Like I went to that massage, and I had a back massage first, and then like a facial mask, and then
lovely.
Head massage. So that was great. And then I met with my friend Fergus, so that was really nice, like for lunch. And then I went to the Botanic Gardens. Well, it was raining a little bit, but
the Botanic Garden.
Yeah.
Oh, how gorgeous! I haven't been there in so long, but it's very beautiful. That's where the hot house, as we used to call it. Yeah. Oh, gorgeous. Yeah. So that's a good way of celebrating, and I'm glad you felt like doing things.
To be honest, I always feel like doing things now.
Do you? Yeah.
It just like I feel like I can't really stay at home.
In the house.
It just feels like I'm suffering here, just like being on my own.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of went out like every single day. Well, not always to meet with someone, but.
And when you say being at home, is it? And I know I've asked you this. Is it being in the house in your thoughts, or is it loneliness, I suppose. Loneliness is as that you seek company almost.
Yeah, I guess it's kind
Yeah.
of both.
Mm, mm, okay. And when you do go out and you meet people and then you come home again, can you settle, or do you still feel uneasy in your house, in the place you're living
I kind of still feel uneasy. Like
in? Yeah.
if I don't have plans for next day,
Mm, mm-hmm.
well, actually I
Yeah.
probably would feel uneasy in
Yeah.
any case. But yeah, like yesterday, I went back like, and it was like, I think 7:30, so I didn't really have that much time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you prefer nearly to be out all day and come home just to sleep.
Yeah, it just feels like that.
Mm. Mm. When you do come home and you feel uneasy, is it your thoughts that are uneasy? Are you thinking of things that happened or things in the future, or is it anxiety that at that point?
Yeah, I guess it is like
Mm.
kind of anxiety. And
Yeah.
like, for example, like yesterday I went to a reptile zoo in Kilkenny, and
Hmm.
of course there were like lots of families there, and when I was thinking like how lonely I was, and when but I would never get like a family like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that was like at some point,
Yeah.
but I did have a good time there.
Yeah. Yeah. So your automatic thought is either not, I suppose, similar to catastrophizing, but almost fatalistic, that you'll never have this, or you'll never you know have a partner, have a family, have is it that type of thought you go to?
Yeah, I guess yeah, it's just.
Mm.
And when I'm kind of judging myself too harshly on things,
Yeah.
like, I was just like ordering a kind of a drink at the pub, and I was kind of stuttering a little bit, and then I felt like how horrible it was. And
Okay, explain that to me, Andrew, that when when you're talking, just go through that again with me.
yeah, it just like I felt like I couldn't talk like, like a normal person would. And I was stuttering, and I was kind of judging myself on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the narrative you're telling yourself, Andrew, has a lot to do with how your body reacts. If you're judging yourself, and you've identified it well. If you're in your head, you're judging yourself, and you're telling yourself, oh, I should be able to speak clearly, and I'm going to stutter, this is going to look really silly. Your body will produce chemicals that match that kind of performance, let's call it. So it will produce stuff that will make you feel anxious by just putting those words and thoughts in your head. This is how we survive. We put thoughts into our head which tell us to run, to tell us we're safe, and we get calming ones or we get panicked ones. So the words that you tell yourself can control the chemicals your body produces, and the chemicals your body produces can also then make you more doubly anxious. So you're going around in a kind of a hamster wheel.
Yeah, it feels
And
like that.
yeah, and if you can shift one thing, the rest will shift. So you have thoughts, actions, and behaviors. So if you can shift your thoughts, your actions and your behaviors naturally have to follow. They can't remain in the last thought with the last response, because that's not how our brain works. It works in a whole, so if we think one thing, we will behave in a particular way, and our actions will be another. So if you think that your thought is, I'm look really silly here, your actions and behaviors will follow. So you'll start feeling anxious, you will stutter, you might blush, you'll do all of those things,
So it's
just because of one shift. Some people can alter their behavior, and that shifts their mindset. They can, if they're feeling, say, the simplest one, I suppose, I'm really lazy, I do nothing. But then they get up and they go for a run. And automatically the other two change because they feel better. The chemical, and it's calmed their thoughts. But you can shift different things, but the easiest one, or not the easiest, but I suppose the one that has the greatest impact is your thought, is the narrative that you tell yourself.
And how could I change it?
It's repetition, Andrew. It's every time the thought comes into your head, I'm going to make a fool of myself here. And I'm only suggesting, let's say that's one of your thoughts.
That actually was one of my thoughts.
Yeah. And we've all done that. And you will feel it immediately. I've stood in front of people and gone, oh, I'm going to make a fool of myself here. This answer is not correct. And immediately I can feel the anxiety, and I'm going, silly woman, now look what you've done. You've introduced anxiety into it. So you're going to be, on a road to nowhere, as we say. So it's about saying to yourself, no, I am not stupid. I'm not going to look ridiculous. My point is valid. I'm okay. I'm safe here. They're not going to judge me.
Yeah.
Like, there's no judgment. You're with friends. So it's correct. Just correct the automatic thought. And note then what happens. You might still feel a little anxious, but you'll feel a lot less anxious than had you gone with I'm going to make a fool of myself here. That's that's way down the scale, and your body will come up with the anxiety, stage fright almost.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of happened on Friday. I didn't really have any company, but Hego, guide in Dublin, he was kind of doing a tour of St. Patrick's Parade.
Oh, yeah.
And I met with him after the parade, and he introduced me to a few of his friends, and I couldn't really socialize that much, and when I was kind of judging myself too harshly on, that I couldn't socialize, and I felt a bit silly.
Yeah.
So
you mean you can identify that you are judging yourself? You know it.
And when I felt so horrible when I kind of sent him a message, almost kind of excusing myself. I told him that I was depressed and when I couldn't really talk that much. And then I was thinking if he would actually, if he would like to ever see me again after that, because I felt so horrible.
Okay, so you've gone down, way down. You're imagining how he feels, how your behavior impacted on him.
Yeah,
and generally, some people notice it. Mostly they don't. They grows it up again. Okay, so they may notice it and it registers for a few seconds, but generally people are wrapped up in their own behaviors and their own thoughts and their own actions or their own conversations. Like, can you, when you think of him on that day, do you think you know how he was inside his head?
No, I don't really know.
Yeah. And why? Because you were caught up in your own story. Yeah. And he, you were going to say, and he. Can you remember?
Well, he was kind of, going around that pub, like talking to, to all the groups of people who were there, and then he was kind of talking to his friends. So I guess it didn't really make that much of a difference.
No. So it's okay to apologize, but only apologize if you did something wrong. Apologizing you're telling yourself you did something wrong there. You need to apologize. When in fact you didn't. You were quiet.
Yeah,
that's all. You weren't rude. You didn't say anything rude to him. So there is nothing to be apologetic about. And maybe you need to look inside and accept that a quiet man. You're not, as much as you'd like to be outgoing and whatever, that your personality maybe is quiet.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of how
Yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah. And if we can become kind of um, happy and content with the personality we have, it doesn't bother us, and it certainly doesn't bother other people. It doesn't bother us so much. Um, and you don't continuously compare yourself to others. Because there's always someone different, always someone more confident, someone that you think is more confident. You'll always find people that are different. None of us are the same.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, right. I
and
guess.
you can never tell what's going on. You have a really confident person, like your friend, and some people are really good at masking what's going on inside, and they can be full of conversation and, going around the pub and maybe struggling. So we have,
It,
you,
it
you
didn't
kind of
feel
have to
like
stop
it
looking
was his
outside.
case.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Hopefully not. But it's just comparing ourselves to others puts pressure on ourselves, makes us feel less than, I suppose, less than him or less than other people in the pub. Coming to terms with the fact that you're a quiet man and accepting that and being happy with that is the next step, is the positive step for you. Unless you're coming from a place where, before you got depressed, you came down so low that you were a very confident guy and that you were a very chatty person and that you went into the pubs and you were, you did the rounds a couple of times. If that was the case, then okay, your personality has just got a bit lost. But if you look back over the years, your personality is probably, underneath all the trauma and trouble that you went through, it's probably still pretty much the same.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it could be the same. But I
Yeah.
was actually kind of worried that I could have like bipolar, because I remember like at some points I kind of got chatty,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
like when I was
Yeah.
looking for a job and when I was kind of trying to chase too many
Yeah.
habits,
Yeah.
uh, like doing that degree and then that university course and
Mm-hmm.
starting a new
Mm-hmm.
job and doing those driving lessons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was
Um,
kind of scared about that.
look, I suppose the psychiatrist will set you straight on that. I don't think you were exhibiting, you can say, yeah, they're signs of very high highs. But no, maybe you just weren't depressed.
Yeah, I guess not.
And that could be your norm. Your norm could be when you're eager to do things and get involved. But you did take on too much at that point. And maybe that was done in avoidance of the thoughts, to avoid the thoughts in your head, the trauma that you had experienced. And for whatever reason, that trauma came back up. You were willing to talk about it, you brought it out, and this is the impact it had. And trauma will always, always come out at some point. And very often I would find people who live a very confident life and who have horrific trauma. And when it comes out, it brings it right back down to where you are,
So,
or where you were a few weeks ago. So maybe you're not so quiet. Maybe you have a little bit with depression, but you may not be the life and soul of every party you go to, because that's just not your personality.
So I guess I just kind of have to come to terms with it.
It's when we say come to terms, it's like accepting a terminal illness, isn't it? It's like,
It's just like that.
yeah. When it's not, we should be happy with who we are. If being quiet and less outgoing keeps us grounded and keeps us feeling okay inside, well, then that's good. That's good.
But I don't really feel content with it.
Yeah. Okay. So then you ask yourself, am I do I want to be someone different? Am I pushing my body then into situations that, or pushing my personality into a situation where it's not comfortable because that's just me? We can't change yourself from being an introvert to an extrovert
Yeah, I
and
guess.
feel yeah, you won't feel comfortable with it. People can do it, they can feign extrovert personality, but it never sits quite well with them.
I thought I was like an ambivert, like in the middle.
In the middle, yeah, and most people are, and that's probably the best way, because you can then feed yourself by coming back and just being still and being quiet, and maybe that's possibly what's up with you, that at the moment you're only feeding the quiet part. You're trying your best to feed the outgoing, the extrovert part.
Yeah, actually, I am.
Yeah.
Remember we were talking about like physical groups, like finding them. I
Yeah.
actually found one like
Ah,
very like here they have like a local volunteer center, and
yeah.
they host like a craft morning like every Thursday. So I went there like last time.
Okay.
So they
Okay.
actually they were
Um,
doing like a mural. like
Lovely.
I got I learned how to knit. They taught
You
me.
learn. Lovely. Okay. So what kind of people are at it? What's the age demographic, the gender?
I got
What's going on?
they said I was the first male.
They're first male, and were
Yeah.
you the youngest or the middle? Was there?
I yeah, I guess I probably was one of the youngest, but then they
Okay.
also had quite a few young people there as well.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know, like, and I never really asked.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
actually kind of glad that I had something to focus on, so that
Yeah.
I didn't have to make
You
conversation
didn't
that
have to.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's always great with those type of of meetings or groups, because as you said, it's a hands-on. It was like when we spoke about the walking groups.
Yeah, yes,
There's
sometimes.
something to do. There's something to focus on. It makes life so much easier when you don't have to, you can, if you feel a bit nervous, you can be engrossed in what you're doing, and it's still okay.
Yeah,
Um,
it felt okay.
yeah. And how often does that group meet, Andrew?
Well, it seems like every week.
Every week. Okay. Okay. And at groups like that, would you be inclined to talk? Do you chat? Or do you
Well,
just listen?
I didn't really talk that much that
Yeah.
morning. I felt like so anxious about like going in.
Yeah.
Well, I just kind of answered their questions, and that was it, and I was kind of mostly listening.
Okay. You've frozen a little bit. Okay. You're back. You're back.
No.
You said you felt a little anxious when I asked you about talking or having conversation with them.
Yeah, I was kind of just answering their questions and
Yeah.
mostly listening to them. But it felt really, really good, just being out and
Yeah.
just being amongst people.
Yeah. And that's what these groups are there. People have recognized that either people are lonely, people need to to improve their confidence, they just need company. And that's the nature of these groups. It's always done it's not that we all want to learn to knit.
Yeah, I guess.
No, it's always, we need to organize something so we can get together, because by the nature of humans, we are this, we need groups. We need to connect with people. So keep that in mind when, you're sitting there and you're wondering what to say. You don't have to say, you don't have to talk. And so early on into the group, sometimes it's best to just sit and observe.
Yeah, I guess.
And people
Some people
will,
were there just like for company, and they were the
yeah,
ones who were chatting a lot.
yeah, yeah. And so these are the type of groups that you should, physical groups for sure, I think are more beneficial to you. And, there's a lot more, there's that interaction, that connection that you just can't get on with Zoom groups. You know, you and I, sometimes I forget that I'm not sitting in a room with you. I think because we've developed a relationship and because it's been so long. But if you're meeting a small group every week, or a huge group like Aware, it doesn't, you never get the personal connection, really. So it's really good for you to find link in with as many groups as you can.
Well, Aware groups are actually quite small, like they're like just
okay.
5 6 people like the last time, and that included like the 2 volunteers. Actually, I remember like a couple of years ago it was kind of difficult to sign up for those groups, and now I could kind of sign up on the same day. Seems like the demand for them kind of has
the demand is huge. People have gotten so, I think, used to this is Zoom groups you're talking about.
Yeah, just Zoom groups.
Yeah, I think people have become so used to, you know, Al-Anon, AA are running groups, Zoom groups, and it's so much easier. You know, you don't have to go out, you don't have to stop working for very long. You can just dip in for an hour and step back out. And there's that certain amount of safety, I suppose, people would feel as well in a Zoom group. So yeah, they have become very popular, as has the online therapy. That's huge. So many people, and the fact that it can be accessed from anywhere around the world really makes such a difference. But definitely for you.
I guess there's still kind of something nice about, you know, the fact that you actually live in the same country.
Yeah, for sure there is. And the fact that you can, the physical contact is great, but if it's a familiarity kind of a thing as well, you know, that we're from the same country, that there's the language difficulties, there's no problem, you don't have a difficulty in understanding me, there's a certain amount of safety in that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, which is, you know, why Irish people from all over the world will kind of link back into my mind rather than access therapy or support from wherever country they're in. Even if they have a different language, another language, they tend to come back to their own, which is it's just what we do, isn't it? It's where we feel safest.
Yeah,
where we're from, we're familiar with. So how's your sleep, Andrew? What way is that going for you?
Well, I kind of started waking up quite early. Like I woke up at probably like around like 6 o'clock, and when I couldn't stay asleep. And yesterday it was kind of similar. It was like 20 to 6, and when I couldn't go back.
Okay.
But when my GP actually kind of increased my antidepressant, and he actually told me I was kind of supposed to kind of feel drowsy in the morning, but it felt like it had like the opposite effect actually.
Okay, so what dosage are you on the SSRIs now?
Well, it's 30 milligrams.
50?
30.
30. Okay, that's still quite low.
Yeah, that's mirtazapine.
Okay.
So that's not an SSRI, that's kind of a typical antidepressant.
Okay. Yeah. Right, and he said you should feel drowsy in the morning.
Yeah. Maybe it will come. Maybe it's just too early.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And when you wake, no, go ahead.
I only kind of started taking the double dose since Wednesday.
Okay. Wednesday. Okay, so it's only in your system a few days.
Yeah, so maybe I will feel different.
Yeah. So back to work. So you will be able to stay off the week.
Yeah, he actually said like if I needed more time off, and I could kind of phone the reception so that I could kind of get another 6 out if I wanted to.
Yeah. And how do you feel about approaching them and asking for a 3-day week or, less hours?
Well, I guess I'm a bit anxious about that, but I guess it probably won't be a problem for them because, as I said, like there was kind of no particular deadline.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe, something that you just have to consider. As I said, if you're not ready, you're not ready to go back, and you need to get time. And if you can get, as I said, the financial support of some sort, it will make it easier just for you to accept, well, okay, I'm here, this is where I am. While I'm here, I just take it easy, I take it slow, and I don't try and rush the recovery. There just isn't, it's just not possible.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. How are your thoughts, Andrew? Does your past, are you still, I know there a few weeks ago it was very forefront in your your traumatic experience. Are they still going around in your head, or where are you at with them now?
Well, I think I kind of still have some of them, but then not that much. I think I'm kind of more focused on the loneliness and just on the fact that I probably don't have enough relationships.
Yeah.
And actually, one of my friends suggested getting a scooter instead of a car. What do you think? I thought it could be like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I would kind of be independent and kind of because I just feel that I'm kind of so stuck in this area, and I feel kind of lonely, and it probably would be an easier way to get around.
Yeah. If you don't have that sense of freedom, that can be very depressing.
Yeah, it feels depressing.
Yeah, I do agree. If you feel like you're tied and that you have no choice, it's take a choice away from somebody when they can't make their own decisions. That's one of the basic needs, isn't it? Of us as humans. So I don't. For a scooter, you don't need to do a driving test for a scooter.
I think you do. It just you can ride it like after you're done with your driving lessons on your own.
Yeah. Okay.
Unlike a car.
Yeah. Four. No. Yep, you're back. Have you driven scooters before?
No, I haven't.
No, but they're very easy. I mean, an automatic one would suit you fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess it would.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be something maybe to look into over the summer, while you're waiting to get back out and you're driving, or to approach your driving test. And maybe the use of the road, go on the road on a scooter can build your confidence for driving a car.
Yeah, it could be, because I would kind of learn how to.
Yeah, you learn, and you become accustomed to, you're familiar with driving and being a road user, and then again, as you said, the freedom of being able to travel around is important to you.
I just insane. I have a blood test appointment tomorrow, and then I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to take the 4 o'clock bus to Dublin, and then another one.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just for a blood test.
Yeah, and that's kind of a whole day of traveling.
Yeah. And this is because you have to get into Dublin and get back out to, is it Waterford?
Oh no, it's Corey. So that's
Corey in Wexford. Yeah.
And that's kind of over waiting times like in between the buses. It's
Yeah.
just crazy. And when, to be honest, I didn't really feel safe when I did it the last time, like like in Dublin, like
Yeah.
around
At that
like
time.
at
Yeah.
Bassaras, like at around like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. No, it's not the best. It's not the best place. And then what time do you get home at in the evenings?
Uh, yeah, I don't really know. Well, it wouldn't be that late like tomorrow
Yeah.
because I'm starting so early.
Yeah, but that is such a long journey for just a blood test.
Yeah,
So
it's
what's
just
your options there, Andrew? I know we spoke about changing GPs, which you're reluctant to do for the moment, is it?
yeah. Well, it's just like it's full everywhere in Carlo,
Mm.
and yeah, again with with that scooter, I probably would have more
Mm.
options.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. You might be able to, just a little bit outside Carlow rather than having to head into Dublin, because even a trip from Carlow to Dublin on a scooter would be um, quite a long trip,
Yeah,
and back. You wouldn't necessarily, would you get from Carlow to Gorey? Um, is that as long as that is I am so bad at geography.
well,
So if
it's
you go
around. Well, Google tells me that it would take about 50 minutes.
50 minutes on a
Yeah,
scooter, well, that's not so bad. It's a lot better than heading into Dublin at 4 o'clock in the morning.
yeah,
That's
it just kind of feels like it's insane.
Yeah, it is a little bit just for blood tests. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking even having a GP in Dublin would be better,
Mm, hmm
a
It would
lot
be, but
better.
then getting one there is probably quite difficult because they seem to have full books. Um, I do know. I think I said it to you where the HSE have to place you if after 4 months I think you can't locate a GP in your area, they will allocate you one. So they almost force a GP to take you. I think it's 4 months. I think the waiting list is 4 months. So, if you did consider changing to somewhere around Carlow, maybe one of the towns outside of Carlow City may have smaller, GP services.
And then how would I get?
Yeah, you'd have to have a
Yeah,
scooter. Yeah,
yeah.
if you had the scooter, I suppose that would be an option. Um, are there many? Is there enough GPs in Carlow to manage the population? I suppose.
Well, there's
Hmm.
6 GPs.
There's 6. Okay. And have you been able to get a recommendation from any of your friends, or as to who they would consider that sometimes is the best way?
Yeah, like I asked my neighbor and he told me
Hmm.
his practice, but they were kind of fully booked.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. So when did you check with them? Can you go on a waiting list, and then you can always refuse it if
Yeah,
the time comes and you've changed.
yeah, like a few weeks ago, and they told me to go back
Mm.
like in 2 or 3 months. So but still,
Ah,
kind of really
okay,
cold.
okay, okay. It might be worth giving them a ring and asking, can you put your name down for the next available position? There's probably a waiting list. Um,
Yeah,
and then,
I asked about that when they didn't really
yeah,
have any.
and they didn't have one. Okay, okay, that's a little bit of a pain. Um, I would ask other people, as many people as you can. They may all say the same one, but hopefully someone else will give you the name of another one. Because that kind of journey to a GP is a little bit. I know you can make your online appointments, or you can just call the receptionist. When you saw the GP,
Oh,
uh,
they di-
was that?
they didn't really have like any online appointments, and they
Mm,
don't have them. So
yeah,
it's just I have to travel all the time.
yeah. And when you to change your SS or your medication, was it a call to and your 6 cert? Was
Uh,
it just a call or?
no, I traveled there like last
Oh,
Wednesday.
wow. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So that's something that is stressful in itself. Um, some, as I said, maybe ask some of your friends again, who else, what other GPs, or did you ever call all 6 and see if there's availability in any of them?
Yeah, well, I just called 4, and then the other 2
Okay,
had like kind of really bad reviews,
okay,
so I
okay.
don't know if I could kind of trust them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so maybe it's time that you contacted the HSE and asked, what's the story now? Look, Google it. There has to be an area or an online a number somewhere that when you have difficulty securing a place with a local GP, what's the next step? What's your options? Because that kind of travel is exhausting. That's stressful.
Uh, it is actually.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tish.
Okay, Andrew. Look, have a talk with if you can, with Citizens Advice and MABS, and make your list for Thursday for the psychiatry.
Yeah.
Okay, what things
Alright.
you need to talk to. All right, we'll talk to you then. Best of luck on Thursday.
Thank you very much, Tish.
Okay, no
Have a nice
problem,
week.
Andrew. Okay, you
Bye.
too. You too. Bye bye.